r/ask Reddit. What became so popular at your school that the teachers had to ban it? Capri Suns. Kids were too stupid to figure out how to get the straws in and teachers got tired of helping everyone. That's hilarious and sad. What's weird is Capri Suns were easy to puncture, but it feels like between 2005 to 2009 they suddenly became stupidly hard to puncture. Randomization. People would gather around a vending machine and chant randomize, and the person performing the ceremony would punch the keyboard and get a random snack. Edit. I think that the whole reason it was banned was because the mid-lunchtime chanting got disruptive and the administrators didn't want to risk students breaking the machine. I believe there was also cheering on receiving the snack. In my high school we just had someone glue a loonie to the floor in front of the machine so everyone would watch random kids try and fail to pick it up. Back in my school days, the string around quarter trick still worked. We tried to keep the secret. Well, a secret. But the school found after a couple months and straight up removed the vending machines. Rulers. Year 10 and HS, for whatever reason someone decided to smack a guy across the head with a ruler. Then everyone went out and bought a ruler. Suddenly everyone was a knight with a sword. Staff kept confiscating them, but rulers are cheap, so kids just went out and bought them by the handful. They ended up banning rulers at a school. The kids who were taking geometry that year and needed them had to be assigned rulers at the beginning of class and then turn them back in. If you rub the metal edge of a ruler against the sole of your shoe really fast back and forth, it gets hot enough to seriously burn someone and leave a scar. A kid did that to me back in 8th grade. Hurt like hell and left a mark that took a decade to fade. I was pissed. There was a kid in my high school who made probably around $500 in a month for making duct tape wallets. Administration found out but didn't ban the wallets, just banned conducting business on school grounds. Someone went around school and sold his origami at 50p a piece. He'd get orders every day and then make them at home. Sounds like the school should support the entrepreneurship of its more motivated students, assuming everything they are selling is legal. People bringing in their Game Boy Color and playing during recess. Kids were getting mad they weren't getting turns and they were afraid of someone stealing games. Ducking Jeremy found a copy of Pokemon Silver the day after mine was stolen out of my backpack. You can't get too mad at the kid though. His brother was thrown in jail for murdering their mom about a year after that. Well, this escalated quickly. When I was younger, we played this where you draw a circle on your hand, and other people would try to draw a line inside of it. If someone was able to draw a line in your circle, then you were out. The objective of the game was to be the last one standing. It was small at first, but eventually almost everyone in my grade became involved, and it spiraled out of control. Chaos, pure ducking chaos. Kids were tackling each other, running away from other students, disrupting lessons, etc. Teachers eventually began to talk to us about how far our game had gone, and started banning it altogether. It was fun while it lasted, boys. Edit. Thanks for the silver and the upvotes. Reminds me of a really cool battle royale our school did during a school trip. We often had trips with the entire school, so it was class 712, approx. 200 people. Everyone got a small letter with the name of a different student on it. You had to give that person an item. Any random shit. All that was important was that the item exchange hands from you to said student willingly. If you managed this, said student would have to give you their name. The students with the most name letters at the end of the week would get a prize. Best game ever. So much paranoia, so much fake friendliness, etc. For example, someone gave out some sweets. Everyone took one. Suddenly he was like, duck yet. The entire point of giving everyone sweets was to get that one person who was in his vicinity to take one. If anyone asked you, hey, wanna have a bonbon, everyone was like, nope. Forget it, because they thought it was a poor attempt at them. I also remember having a letter suddenly come through the door addressed at me that said, come to this and that room at this time, and when I arrived it was my best friends who called themselves the Dark Brotherhood and made a plan where we would exchange letters to better plan our targets. I love how an innocent game can manifest secret societies amongst children. Hair flips. Circa 2003, long skater hair was very trendy. Said kids were flipping their hair out of their eyes face. An 8th grade history teacher went on a vendetta under the reasoning that hair flips pollute the air with hair dirt. Kids started getting detentions. Edit. Winter went. That's a really stupid pretense, but I can understand why the teachers got annoyed with a room full of kids flipping their hair like they have Tourette's syndrome. My teachers in high school just mercilessly mocked the hair flippers until they knocked it off. The hair flippers discovered that it drove the teacher mad, so they began flipping it consciously to piss her off. She created her own monster. We are only allowed to have €2 money for bus. If a teacher that even cares caught you, the teacher would be allowed to take the money and keep it. This was changed due to making it a crime. One time a teacher took €75 from a student. Luckily she was forced to give it back. What the duck is the reasoning behind that? What trouble could you get into with €2? I don't know how they go €2 specifically, but they probably wanted to prevent students from carrying enough money to buy drugs. Camo colors. They somehow banned it school-wide because they were gang colors. Camo gang. Edit. I went to high school in the southeast Columbus, Ohio area. Half wannabe rednecks, quarter wannabe hood, and quarter preppy kids. It was a dumb mix. And for the record, so many people complained the school actually had an assembly over it where they explained their reasoning, and I don't remember exactly what they said, but it had something to do with gangs. I think it was gang mentality or something. How could they see the colors? You could tell if someone was wearing camo if entire parts of their body were missing, like if they had feet but no legs, with their torso floating in midair. I was in high school when cell phones finally became accessible enough for most people to have one. It took about a week of senior year for them to declare that no phones were allowed anywhere on school property. Same for my class. But now kids literally have theirs out at their desks using them, and the teachers are compliant. Yeah, the handbook still says no phones allowed, but that's just not a thing anymore. Kids are, usually, respectful enough not to use them when the teacher is lecturing, but after the lesson is done they're all out. Hallways, everything. Our class president freshman year ran on making them allowed during lunch, and that turned into they're allowed at all times. By junior year we became a tech-friendly campus, and now we have school Wi-Fi and you're allowed to bring in any device you want. Laptop, tablet, whatever. Fortune tellers. You know those paper origami ones? Those and Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards too. Really? Bro, nobody at my school knew how to make those. Everyone knew how to at mine, and I think the school probably banned them due to the amount of paper we wasted tbh. Warheads. It grew to such an issue with these sour candies. Kids were organizing a black market where the kids with the highest allowance would buy them in bulk from the corner stores for a nickel each, distribute them to upperclassmen for a quarter each, who would turn around and sell them to the final consumer for 50 cents each candy. There was even a barrier to entry if you wanted in the business. You would have to eat 3 candies at once and not spit it out or throw up. Warheads are the real gateway into drug dealing. Legit happened at my school. Some kid was selling warheads from 8th grade till 10th grade. Once that business ran dry, he moved on to jewels, pots, weed, pens, etc. Putting condoms on everything. Pens, people's heads, arms, bags, shoes, smartboard remotes, baseball bats, clocks, balls, literally anything. The best bit was that the school gave out free condoms. They were fueling the opposition. After a week, there was a ban on condoms being out in public. Anyone seen with a condom that wasn't in their bag or blazer was immediately given a detention. In my college there was someone brought in to hand out condoms to people. Over the next few days, Tide condoms filled with water kept appearing across a few of the bathrooms. Rubber bands. Kids weren't even using them to shoot at other kids or otherwise misbehave with them. The kids would buy packs of rubber bands, tie the rubber bands together, making like a big rubber band chain. It became a contest to see who could get a chain of rubber bands to stretch the farthest. You couldn't find a pack of rubber bands at a store for probably 20 miles. This was when I lived in a small town, so there wasn't a ton of stores in that 20 miles. Amazon or even public internet access didn't exist yet. One kid got so many rubber bands, they could stretch it the length of the school building. While stupid, I didn't think it was a bad hobby as kids weren't shooting them or shooting stuff with them. It was all about how big of a chain they could make. School rewarded our pointless creativity with a ban on rubber bands at the school. All rubber band chains were confiscated on site. Sounds like the perfect build-up for a senior prank. Rubber band chains blocking all the doors and hallways. Almost like webs crossing the halls between the lockers. Right. Combine forces and wrap the school with them. The kid that started a tuck shop out of his locker went to a wholesaler's, bought some stuff, sold it, used the profits to buy more, repeat and repeat until he's now staffing a child guard to stop shoplifting and renting other people's lockers for stock overflow. Our classroom just became kids queuing to buy sweets and energy drinks. Sometimes a line so long in 15 minutes he couldn't get everyone waiting served. Then, bam, banned. No selling anything on school property. Pretty much just aimed at this kid. Dude ended up stabbing someone. Got expelled. No idea where he is now. But think his shop getting banned and being replaced with an overpriced healthy staff-run tuck shop squashed his entrepreneurial spirit. This is the most welcome to the real world life story on here. Young up-and-comer has great idea. Big company comes in. Steals the idea and profits from it. That's unfortunate. Big company comes in. Steals the idea and profits from it. In this situation the school is actually analogous to the state, not a big corporation. Pokemon cards. Pokemon was banned for being popular. Magic was banned for being satanic. Pokemon cards got banned at my school because they became an underground currency, and kids were having their cards stolen by bigger kids. It became a huge scandal built out of a bunch of incidents. I remember in the beginning, if you had a super rare card, you'd show it off to all your friends with pride. Towards the end of the Pokemon card craze, if you had a rare card, you'd keep that shit secret and take it to the grave. If anybody found out you had a Chansey or a shiny Charizard, it'd make you a target and it would probably be stolen within a week. In Sweden we had this thing called bug, translate to gay pile. As soon as someone was on the ground lying, everyone threw themselves on making a pile of PPL. I'm 60. When I was in 3rd grade sunflower seeds were banned. I was told the teachers thought they were drugs. I think it was because they were both messy and counterculture like hippie health food. I was in middle school from 2009 to 2011. Bloons Tower Defense was huge. Everyone played it in any room that had a computer. The school had to install special blockers but people kept getting around them so they straight up banned Adobe Flash. Someone at my high school managed to install Quake 3 Arena onto the central server, so it was able to be accessed by any computer connected to the network. There were kids in my web development class playing against other kids having their study hall in the library on the other side of the school. Not sure if the administration ever found out, but the year after I graduated they changed out all of the Windows computers they had for iMacs. We did that exact thing with Unreal Tournament and Soldier of Fortune 1. So many days of LAN UT. This would have been around 99 2001 something like that. Rock paper scissors. People at my middle school kept playing a game called Oreo, where you play rock paper scissors and the loser has to do a dare. According to the teachers, it got out of hand. It really did and none of the dares were that bad. So they decided to ban rock paper scissors. Hearing that on the announcements in the morning instantaneously killed half of my brain cells. If you were caught playing rock paper scissors, you would immediately get detention. Dumbest thing I've ever heard. Edit. Everyone is saying that instead of dares. They just had to ask someone out. That is really what my school did. I just said dares because it was easier and I didn't think it mattered. When you lost, the winner told you a person and you had to go to that person and ask them on a date. You should have asked, can we play Rochambeau instead? In my home country, we call it quartz parchment shears. We legit had a half an hour lecture in assembly because our year apparently said sorry too often. I'm English. 3 hours and no one's made a Canada joke yet. In elementary school my class was divided in 2 groups, penguins and rats. We would always go to our group for team assignments, for games, for anything really. Somehow an actual rivalry started to sprout until the whole school was divided in these 2 groups, with 1st and 2nd years getting into actual fights and stuff. Pretty soon the principal cancelled recess for a day and went to each classroom to tell us penguin team and rat team were banned. Others did create some smaller animal named groups after that, but they all dissolved pretty quickly. Your elementary schools literally created gangs. LMAO. Grand Theft Education. Clackers. They were too small. Hard balls on either end of a long string. You made them clack against each other, but the bullies would hit you upside the head with them instead. I'm old. You didn't need a bully, because you were perfectly capable of hitting yourself in the head. Came here to mention these. I'm old, too. We're lucky we survived. Pogs. Yup, we got the it's a form of gambling. Once a bunch of losers lost the pogs they bet and then complained about it. That's how it always goes. The losers' moms come to school and start threatening lawsuits over cardboard circles and everyone's fun is over. In 3rd grade, a few kids got obsessed with the words cheese, FedEx, and camel. They said them all the time and those words got banned for the entire class. Very similar to something in my primary, there was a week that everyone started saying the catchphrase from adverts and everyone had different ones. There were arguments about who would say what phrase. Those little skateboards, tech decks, we used to trade them and cry over it. An a-hole teacher took mine, said she'd give it back at the end of the day and I never saw it back. I'll never forgive her. You don't duck with a kid's tech deck. YUGO. Used to be everyone would show up an hour before school started and we'd play until first bell. Then some little shit named Tyler decided to wager one of his cards and he lost. He ran to his mommy crying about it and then no more YUGO. Duck you Tyler. Don't bet something you aren't willing to lose. Duck Tyler. Had a kid do the same thing because he wanted to be a rare hunter. Wanted to wager so I did. My dark paladin for his red eyes black metal dragon I think. He lost. Cried home. Was told to give the card back. But I won. So it was either give the card back and people can play, or don't and no one could. Gave it back. Still banned the game. Was super pissed about that one. Edit. Wow. First silver. Haha. Thanks for sharing your villainous origin story. Gel pens. When I was in primary school there was this weird trend where all the girls would suck on the ends of gel pens so their tongues turned into different colors. They would trade pens with each other in the school bathrooms and sneak away from the teachers and go to hidden parts of the schoolyard so they didn't get caught. It was the closest I can think of comparing to a drug ring, but imagine it with 7-year-old girls. One of my friends was really popular because she was the girl who sucked on the most pens and would get caught in literally every class sucking on a different gel pen. And the teachers would always have to walk her out to the nurses. She'd make herself sick and throw up. They eventually banned them. I tried it once and spat it out immediately because it was nasty and tasted like ink. Duh, I didn't get it then and I still don't get it now. The girl who sucked on the most pens and would get caught in literally every class sucking on a different gel pen, same but not with gel pens. When I was a kid our church banned pogs, called it a form of gambling. All the parents decided to just get rid of their pogs. My dad was cool with pog and he even machined a solid brass slammer for me. He talked with the parents but couldn't change their mind on pog as it was the senior pastor who called for the ban. The long story short, all the church kids gave me their pogs and I was now pog king at school. Tamagotchis. Yes, these were also banned in my school. Those rubber bracelets that denoted different causes that were popular in the early to mid 2000s. We ended up setting up a little black market for them with people trading in different ones and having their arms covered to the elbows in them. I heard that if she wears a insert color one she's into sexual thing. Back in middle school I had a teacher that banned crankin' that Soldier Boy in her classroom. To be honest I probably would have done the same thing. Middle school Soldier Boy duck. I'm old. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content bruh. It's free and that's a great price.